I have friends that got into it at 10 cents, 20 cents. And they're currently sitting on a couple billions of dollars today because of that. One of the investors in my company, he's a billionaire out in Florida. He bought his $27 million home in Miami just using Bitcoin.
Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. Text me then I'll text you back. You text me then I'll text you back. You text me then I'll text you back. TikTok, you don't stop. I will help you make your paper stack. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at now? 205-964-5243. Now you know. 205-964-5243. Now you know.
Hello, guys. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and today going to do a little changing gears here, but I'm all about providing value. At least I think it is, and most of the world does. We're going to get into cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. And I have an expert here on the ground level of it, and we're going to try to make sure you understand where the opportunity is when you start making, if you're already, but if you start making all this money in real estate, what can you do with some of it to make more money? At least that's what I'm doing. So with that being said, what's going on, Jeff?
Hey, Flip Man, Ty, good to see you, man.
Really appreciate it, man. I met Jeff at Jamil and Pace's premiere for their show, Triple Digit Flip. I was actually eavesdropping on a conversation that he was having with someone else. And,
as we all were, right? A lot of good people in the room that day.
Yeah. So I wasn't going to go over and talk to him, but he came over and talked to me and introduced himself. And I was so happy he did that because I was full of questions. He and his girlfriend, just in that maybe 10-minute conversation, it made the trip out there, so that's why we ended up here. So just wanted to get that out there on how we met. And shout out to Jamil and Pace and their new show is great. Make sure you all check that out. Triple Digit Flip on A&E comes on Saturdays at 12 noon, no matter where you are. So 12 p.m. on Saturdays. All right, but just to get into it, Jeff, if you could just give us some background about who you are, then we'll get into the real reason why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, man, it's an honor to be here. I was telling you when we met that I spent most of my COVID experience. I had COVID back in November, and I knew I wanted to take some of my capital and put it into real estate. So I was doing all the research I could on YouTube, and I spent hours watching your stuff, man. And so I was honored to be able to meet you there during that event. And super excited to be here. But my background is in I've done a lot of entrepreneurial journeys. I've started 7 different companies and sold 5 of them. I had an event company where we would go around doing entrepreneurship events and pitch competitions. And I built up this big list of investors and all of a sudden became a matchmaker between entrepreneurs and people with capital looking for opportunities.
Wow.
And fell into cryptocurrency. I knew a lot of people. I started this company back in 2015, and that was when a lot of people weren't really talking about it publicly, but there were people in the back corners in the back of the room talking about cryptocurrency and how do you get in and what exchanges do you use and are you mining and all these different conversations. And that's when it started to pique my interest. Eventually got into cryptocurrency through Ponyx Exchange way back then and have been exploring it ever since. And so I am currently a co-founder of a blockchain technology company based here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. We do blockchain technology as well as high performance cloud computing. And it's been an amazing journey. It's not something I ever expected to get into, but it's definitely a fascinating and deep rabbit hole. Once you get started, it's hard to get out. So it's been really great. And it's cool to see the impact that blockchain is able to have, because it's not just, for nerds and hacker, dark web back rooms, having conversations, but it's literally going to permeate and impact every single industry. And that's what's really fascinating to me about it. So really excited to have this conversation.
Well, as we're actually talking about this right now, just using Bitcoin as I guess basically it would be considered the .com of cryptocurrency, similar to the .com, .net, as far as domains and website extensions. It would be like it would be the household name when you start talking about crypto. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the gold. It's the first. It's the number one cryptocurrency. When Satoshi Nakamoto dropped his white paper back in 2009, it literally changed the game. There have been so many economists and people in finance trying to figure out how to crack the code to come up with electronic money. I remember reading about the story of PayPal and how Elon Musk and Peter Thiel were also trying to crack that code a long time ago, and nobody was able to do it. But this mysterious person, Satoshi Nakamoto, wrote this, I think it's like a 9-page white paper on Bitcoin, an electronic currency, and it revolutionized the world. So it's exciting.
Just to give a little history on that, because you're saying the name and I'm familiar with it, can't say it, but I'll let you repeat it. Explain because no one knows if this is a real person or if it was a group of individuals. For all we know, it could have been Elon Musk, that came up with it.
Right.
For all we know. So if you could just give a little background on that part of it, because I think that's important on people that may be interested. And guys, the reason we're even having this conversation again, I did okay in real estate, and when you just have money sitting, I have a little bit in the stock market doing options or whatever, but whatever. I'm not as anyway. So I'm giving you an opportunity when you start making money to make money. So I just want to make that clear. We're going to get into that a little bit, but just to give a little background on that ghost of an individual, however you say his name. Go ahead.
Yeah, Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows if it's an actual person, human being. There's actually a lot of people in the world currently today that are named Satoshi Nakamoto. Some people have come forward saying that they are Satoshi Nakamoto. They're not sure if it's the CIA, the FBI. Is it Elon Musk? Who is the one who has actually, who was the one that invented Bitcoin? Nobody really knows. If anybody says they know, they're lying. Currently, Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet of Bitcoin is locked up. It hasn't been accessed, I think, since like 2009 or 2010. So he is a mysterious character, and it kind of adds to the novelty of this whole journey, the mystery of this whole journey. And it wasn't just one person. There's not just one superhero in this story. Where the cool thing about Bitcoin is it's a decentralized currency. It's what they call a distributed and decentralized currency. So it's not just dictated by just one person, but it has to be verified by a bunch of different people in order for changes or anything to be made. So it's kind of a cool movement.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you said that. When you say decentralized, if you could break that down a little more, and I think I had a train of thought and I went to something else. As of today of this video, I think Bitcoin is around 57,000 or something. That's for one particular coin. You don't have to have $57,000 just buy. He'll explain how you can buy parts of it. Because if you invest just $100 and say the price was at, well, we'll just use now $57. But if it goes up to a coin, 57,000 per coin, Bitcoin. If it goes up to, we'll just say 70,000, which it will, then that percentage increase will be on your $100 that you've invested in. You're not now. Let me just say this, and let him explain. It's not for those that are used to 2 and 3% and comfortable with that conservative growth, because you will grow, very slowly or whatever. This is for aggressive investors that you can put money in there. Not saying you just got money to burn or whatever. If that's a $10 for you, it's $10. If that's 10,000 for you, but it's just money you really don't have to use. It's something better than a savings account because it's going to explode and it's going to continue to do that. But it can have a dip, which we'll get into that also. But
Yeah,
You just
no,
explained it
absolutely, Ty, you
decentralized.
nailed it. It's that's the cool thing is anybody can get access to it. And yeah, if you're not comfortable with volatility, it's definitely not something to be a part of. It's if you're not comfortable with roller coasters, and especially roller coasters in your wallet when it's attached to your money, it's basically like going through like the real estate bubble every single week. Like the market will go up and it'll crash 30%. The market will go up again and then it'll crash another 30, 40%. So it's a wild roller coaster. Yeah, but think about, what do they say? Like housing bubbles usually last about, there's like 10 to 12 to 15 year cycles. These could be 12 to 15 minutes, 12 to 15 days, 12, like it's quite a volatile ride. But the cool thing is, it is something that people can get access to at any level. So you're right. You mentioned Bitcoin currently is at about 57,000 as of today, October 11. But yeah, you could buy fractional pieces. They actually call the fractional pieces of a Bitcoin Satoshis after the mysterious founder Satoshi Nakamoto. So you can literally buy a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent of Bitcoin. You can literally buy $10 of Bitcoin. And if it goes up 10%, you just made another dollar on that $10 of your Bitcoin. So it's a really cool thing. You can get access to it at any level. And it's not too late. I know a lot of people, they're like, man, it's 57. I wish I would have gotten into it in 2009 when it first came out, when it was just pennies. Like Bitcoin was pennies, right? I have friends that got into it at 10 cents, 20 cents. And they're currently sitting on a couple billions of dollars today because of that.
Yeah, that I'm glad you brought that up, and it's a lot of different directions there. Just I don't know where I saw this, but they said if you would have invested $100 back in, I think 2011, it would be worth over 100 billion. Just some 100 million. I'm sorry, 100. Just some ridiculous number.
Yeah, it's quite crazy.
Yeah, I've been aware of it. Because I used to just like really follow domain investing. That's the www.whatever.com.net or whatever. And they used to talk about Bitcoin a lot because that was one of the ways that you could purchase domain names with using Bitcoin. And at that time, it was I know it was under $100. I don't know what the number was. And I'm like, what is this? I kept hearing them talk about it. And it's just one of those things that you just sit back and you're just like, wow, you were
crazy, right?
Ahead of the curve and didn't know you were at the time or whatever. But I know I'm all over the place, man. Let's go back to the decentralized. Explain the importance of that.
It's really important because it's not based on one central government. And the one thing the government has with the central bank is the ability to control. They control inflation rates and interest rates and all of these kinds of different factors that are dictated by a few people deciding what they want those numbers to be. But Bitcoin is not that way. The code was written by a few developers back in 2007. It kind of evolved, and then Satoshi wrote his paper in 2009 and released his white paper, and then it's just continued to evolve from there. But it's one of these things, because it's distributed and decentralized, it can't be altered or changed. And because of the specific technology that Bitcoin sits on top of. Bitcoin is cool, but the technology it sits on top of is more important, especially to how it will impact society, and that's called blockchain.
All right,
and
explain that explain that in a little more
I-
detail. We're gonna don't let
got
me
you.
forget about NFTs and Ethereum also, and how important that is also. But
Yep,
explain the
absolutely.
blockchain and that technology and what it's going to do.
Yeah, so simply put, blockchain, and I hate to oversimplify it, is simply a chain of blocks, right? It's a chain. It's a chain of blocks with some information that they call it a ledger that has your information on one block, and it's tied and connected to the next block. And every time there is a block, one is tied to the next, and you can't change one block without going back and changing them all. And in order to make a change, you have to get it verified by everybody else within the system, and it's not verifiable, or you're able to do it. So you got to think of a ledger as, so for instance, you go to your bank and you have a list of how much money you have, and that's literally just, it's not backed by gold or anything else. It's literally numbers on a ledger. And if I were to send $1,000 to Ty, that would go from my ledger to Ty's ledger, right? Mine to Ty. And what blockchain is simply transactions happening on a ledger, happening from one block to the next and being connected and unbreakable. And so simply the blockchain technology is a strain of blocks that is unbreakable and immutable and completely decentralized and verifiable. And that's really the beauty and the foundation of the technology that is what Bitcoin sits on top of. And it's what we have today. So it's a really great technology that now is impacting a lot of different parts of society. So yeah, it's really cool.
Okay. If number one, everyone should do their own research. Number one, this is only to spark your interest in doing your own research. And there's going to be tons of videos on YouTube, and that's just YouTube. You can start just Google it, and you're going to hear negative, positive things about it or whatever. But only you can make that decision. Again, the volatility of it is going to probably have some people afraid of it, but that, again, everything's not there for everyone. We're just telling you, if I would have done this, I guess 2011, 12, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Well, we would just be having it in another location, right? We'd be having drinks somewhere in Puerto Rico or the Bahamas or something, right?
Yeah. So that's how bad I missed the boat in that sense, because I was aware of it that early on. But it's still early, at the end of the day, because I think over the last 10 years, it's increased in value. I keep hearing it. I don't know. I can't believe I've forgotten it.
10,000%. Like it's the best performing investing asset in the last decade. And so it's growing. But what I like to tell people is Bitcoin is still early. You got to think of Bitcoin now as the internet in 1992, 1994. If any of you were alive back then, you got to think of it like when the internet came out. Everybody was afraid of it. Nobody thought it was going to be a thing. People thought it was a scam. If you were to Google, and Ty, do you remember getting those AOL CDs in the mail? Where they were trying to get
you with them. Yes.
Yeah, you used to get those AOL CDs in the mail, and the whole goal of getting those AOL CDs in the mail was to get you to trust the internet, right? And if you were able to trust the internet, you could go from you can eventually increase adoption. So that's essentially where we're at right now with Bitcoin. So what they're trying to do is increase adoption, but the learning curve with Bitcoin is a bit challenging. So you can't just say, here, buy this Bitcoin. It's like a complete, I've talked to a room of finance majors, and it's still really hard to communicate the concept of what exactly is cryptocurrency and what is Bitcoin. And so right now it's still fairly early. Think of it as the internet in 1994, where we're still trying to figure out what we need to do to increase adoption. And it's not too late. So get in now. Don't wait. And just learn all you can. Like even back then, I remember my mom, like she still won't buy anything online. Because she's afraid that her credit card information is going to be stolen. She doesn't trust the internet. Well, I know there's a lot of people today. They're like, well, Bitcoin is used by hackers and black market individuals. Well, I'd love for you to find a $1 bill or $100 bill that doesn't have cocaine dust on it.
I was about to say, when people make that argument that it's being used by criminals and to sell drugs and this and that, cash is too. Also, matter of fact, we know more so. Or whatever. That's ridiculous. Of course, all walks of life are going to use method of payment, something that has value to this. Now, they were probably a little ahead of the curve on some of us, above board people, I guess you would say, or whatever. But the cash is being used for all of those things and more. So that can't be a valid argument at all.
No.
If someone wanted,
and it's actually even more trustworthy because it's traceable and trackable.
Right.
So even though your name's not directly connected to it, your wallet number's directly connected to it. So it's actually safer and more traceable and trackable than your cash itself. So it's technically safer.
Let's talk about NFTs and Ethereum and that particular side of the crypto world. I follow Gary V quite a bit, and I know he started something with V Friends, and I think when he launched it within a couple of weeks and made over $50 million, $50 million over some ridiculous number. And this is just stuff that he was just doodling. He's not an artist. What I know, you'll explain it, but he's not an artist. It's just because he has that large following. Explain that, just explain that. I know I'll mess it up.
Yeah, so an NFT is a non-fungible token. Now you're thinking, okay, what's a fungible token? Well, fungible is something that is replicatable. And so you have something, like an NFT is something that is non-replicable. Yeah, exactly. Well, I have people saying they want some of these hats a lot, but this is a one-of-one. There's currently no others hats like this that exist. And what I could do, and just like you create a certificate of authentic, like if you were to sell art or, some nice fashion or something like that, you get a certificate of authentication connected to it. And that certificate of authentication, you get your little thing that proves that you are the owner and this is the original piece. That works and that's cool, but I don't know, I've seen, these Pawn Star shows where they still have to bring in people to verify if that certificate of authentication is real, to see if this is an actual real original piece. And a lot of times it's not necessarily the case. And it's really hard to decide that. But the cool thing with NFTs is NFTs have those certificates of authentication set on smart contracts. So smart contracts are contracts similar to blockchain that is set up on the Ethereum network. And it's essentially a contract that says this is what it is, it's verifiable, and it's 100% always connected to this person, and you'll always be able to track who purchased this thing. So the cool thing is, like for instance, Gary Vee makes this NFT and he sells it for $1,000. Somebody else takes that NFT and they can sell it for $20,000. You can set rules within the smart contract where Gary Vee will continue to get residual income no matter how many times that thing is sold, which is crazy. You think of artists today, when we used to sell records or CDs, they would never get residual income. Like I remember my buddy who is a hip hop guy, I remember buying his CD to use bookstore saying, dude, I bought this thing for 99 cents. Man, maybe you'll get your 1 penny residual income, just in jest. But the reality is now that artists who are taking advantage of the NFT boom right now, it really is going to shift people away from being starving artists to actually getting paid for their creativity. So the cool thing it also does is it not only is connected to pictures, people are thinking like, why would I pay? Like there's been people who've paid $69 million for one image and it's literally just a JPEG and people are saying it's crazy. Well, it's the same thing in the art world. Like this is literally paint on a canvas. What makes it valuable? Well, it's attached to either the artist or it's attached to a scarcity piece where there isn't a lot available. And so people want it, and whatever's in demand, people are willing to pay for. I don't know if you remember back in the day, like there's people who've had like pet rocks, they've been able to sell for, or there's been people who've come up with, splashing paint on a wall, but because it was attached to a specific person, it increases in value. So there's a lot of different reasons for why things are valuable. NFTs aren't going anywhere. I definitely think it's a bit of a bubble right now. So it's something you should learn about. You should understand, like you said, do your own research, study, and it's not going anywhere. The technology isn't going anywhere. But just like what happened in the early 2000s with the .com bust, the internet didn't go away. It just continued to evolve and shift. And so this technology isn't going anywhere. It's the baseball cards of today. And it's only going to continue to get better and better. So.
Yeah, I just checked my phone. I know some of the terms we're using and stuff is way over a lot of people's head, but that's what research is for. But Ethereum is the currency, cryptocurrency that's normally used to purchase NFTs, this digital art and whatever. Right now, where Bitcoin is trading right at 57,000, close to it today. Ethereum is trading at 3,500, just over 3,500. So you see the difference there, which I got in. Now I did get in on Ethereum at I think around 1,800. So my money's already doubled. This was since March. It's already doubled since March, right? And I put some money in there also. So Um, I don't know what else to tell you. Though it's amazing to me. So the other thing with NFT, well, I know you briefly mentioned it when we were talking at the event about how real estate is possible being purchased, or you had someone that was trying to create something where real estate could be purchased using crypto. I'm sure it's already being done, but I'm just saying that I think it's a specialized currency or something. If you could explain that.
Yeah. So the cool thing about, like I mentioned before, blockchain and smart contracts are going to be the technology that really impact society. Sure, the coins are cool. We're going to make money on it, but it's the technology. So for instance, you think of oil. Oil, you can extract it from the ground, but oil has a lot of different use cases, right? You can turn it into your Vaseline that you use, on your hands. You could, transform it into what you put in your car. There's a lot of different functions for that particular item. The same thing is with Ethereum. Ethereum there's a lot of different functions, and it's literally a technology that the internet is going to be built on top of. And it's going to change everything. And so one of the cool technologies that's going to come from this that a few of us are talking about. And the cool thing is, like, this thing is spanning the globe. Like, governments are implementing it into their economy. And where I'm at in Wyoming happens to be one of the most progressive states in the United States when it comes to blockchain legislation. We've been able to sit and that's been one of the biggest roadblocks to blockchain implementation is the legislation. The government doesn't know what to do with it. They're saying, is this just internet play money, or is it actually a real tangible thing? Well, what people are finding out is it's an actual real tangible asset, similar to gold. I always tell people Bitcoin is digital gold, and Ethereum is like digital oil. You got to think of it like that. Yeah. And so Ethereum is based on smart contracts. And so what you're able to do with smart contracts is, like I mentioned, with creating a smart contract connected to an NFT, you're able to also connect a smart contract to things like real estate, mortgages. You're able to put liens on smart contracts, and basically anything on smart contracts. So essentially what it's called when you put something on a smart contract, you're tokenizing it. And when you tokenize a something like a lien or real estate property, you're able to then sell off that token, and somebody can buy it. And it'll have a huge impact, I believe, on real estate. So we have some guys out here that are doing some cool stuff. They've created some, they've been tokenizing like contract liens, contractors who, they do a lot of work on a home, and, people aren't able to pay. They put a lien on it, but when are they going to actually get that money? Like, how long does it actually take for that person to go through bankruptcy to actually be able to pay back that money? And that contractor has a lot of expenses that they had to incur in order to reach that. And so they're out. And so it just creates this domino effect. But the cool thing is you could actually sell that lien, just like you can sell, what do they call that? You could sell tax liens. I know you can sell, you can buy tax liens today. You can buy tax liens, pay it off. And if other person doesn't pay it off, you get the house, right? Well, the thing is now you could actually sell those contract liens, those contractor liens, and so that takes the burden off of the contractors, and you can actually take it, and then that'll be connected to the house. And anyway, there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat. And there's also people working on big real estate projects that are just like when you get into a big real estate fund and you fractionalize, there's like 10, 20, 100 people in a real estate fund. The same thing will be here, except it'll be done through a smart contract, through a tokenization thing. So just like you can buy, let's say there's a $57,000 home, and right now you can buy $10 of that home. And if like that home is going to appreciate, or if I know you're about to flip a home, and I'll say, hey, I'll get in on that home that's been tokenized, and right now it's only worth $57,000. But I know if I put $57,000, or if I put $100 into that $57,000, and you flip it and you make $200,000, I can 4x my money on that exchange. So there's going to be a lot of different implementations and use cases for blockchain and smart contracts within real estate, which is, I know, really exciting for a lot of people. And I know there's a huge need for innovation within the real estate market. And I think this is definitely one of the things that's going to disrupt it.
If you could share, I know you know a lot of people in that world because of what you all do directly daily. If you could share, like just one of the success stories, just someone that may have gotten in early on or maybe recently or something like that, if you could.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have friends that got in at pennies, that are sitting on billions of dollars, sitting over 100,000 Bitcoin, sitting in their castles in Puerto Rico. Or I have one friend, he put $100 in when it was 20 cents, and now it's sitting, real pretty. Yeah, right. And so there's a lot of people who've made a lot of money, and you could Google it and you could see guys like the Doge guy who made a bunch of money by taking all of his money out of his savings and putting all of his money on credit cards. And he made almost, I think he passed $1 million. I think he even went up to $2 million. And then it went back down to below $1 million. So there's a lot of people who've made money various ways with cryptocurrency. But I always think of the story of the guy who spent 10,000 Bitcoin to buy 2 pizzas.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you heard that story. That's actually the first use case of Bitcoin, where if you Google Bitcoin pizza guy, he actually was able to, it was the very first transaction where he's like, here, take this 10,000 Bitcoin. And at the time, that 10,000 Bitcoin was only worth $41. Wow. And he was paying for his 2 Papa John's pizzas. And I think now it's worth like, I don't know, $400 million or more. And so I'm sure that pizza guy, if he didn't sell, is sitting pretty.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking a few months back. Like, if I had a house that I wanted to just sell, and say that, we'll just use a simple number here. If it was worth $100,000, but I would take, we'll just say 70,000 in Bitcoin. Right, as an actual, I guess, quote unquote discount, because you can look at it still in cash or whatever. And I'm really saying 70,000 in cash, but in Bitcoin. So it's going to be like a Bitcoin and some change, maybe Bitcoin 0.25, 1 Bitcoin 0.25, something like that, or Bitcoin and a half. Mm-hmm. And so the way I was looking at it, and then still, is that even though I'm taking a discount, they're getting a great deal if they want it as far as the cash price, but they converted cash to Bitcoin, and that's 70,000. I'm looking at it from, like you say, it could be tomorrow that now that 70,000 may be worth 150,000, or it could be worth 15,000. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm a risk taker at his highest level. And so I feel, I'll take some risks. Let me just say that. So how you see where I'm going here? How could you present something like that to someone? Hey, I'll let you have this house for this amount, but it needs to be in Bitcoin. Even though they may not
absolutely
about Bitcoin. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I do that all the time. I have an e-commerce business, and we have people that pay us in Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so you're just able to kind of take transactions. You can either use BitPay or just send it directly to our wallet. There's various ways you could do that. One of the investors in my company, he's a billionaire out in Florida. He bought his $27 million home in Miami just using Bitcoin. So it's easy to do. And I think you can, I know I have a lot of guys that are in the coaching space that are now taking cryptocurrency in exchange for their services. And I would highly recommend it. It's also a great way to increase adoption. So we were just at a Cardano summit out here in Cheyenne at the University of Wyoming a couple of weeks ago. And they had an open bar, free drinks, but everybody was tipping the bartender in Cardano. And it was great because people.
You're over my head here. Cardano. I'm assuming that's a currency.
Yeah, Cardano, and that is the thing. So there are over 5,000 different cryptocurrencies. Cardano's in the top 10. It is one of the guys. So, and the reason why there are so many different cryptocurrencies is they're all trying to solve different problems. So one of the things with Bitcoin is it takes a long time to verify a transaction. So it's actually not super practical. So it's almost like using dial-up internet for a transaction. So it's super slow, but it's gold. It's the digital gold. So nobody's complaining about it.
I got you.
So it takes 10 minutes to verify a transaction. So if I'm buying a coffee at a coffee shop using Bitcoin and it takes 10 minutes to do that, it's just going to create a bottleneck and an awkward situation. And it's just not very practical for commerce. And so all of these other Bitcoins, so they have Bitcoin Lite and there's Bitcoin Cash and there's all these different knockoffs of it. They're all trying to solve different problems when it comes to cryptocurrency. And so Cardano is a spinoff of Ethereum. So the founder of Cardano was a part of the original Ethereum founding team, and he was spinned off and created his version of smart contracts on a cryptocurrency called Cardano. And I was here at a summit where all the Cardano fans and the founder and all the people were there talking about the different ways and use case you could be there. And yeah, we were all tipping the bartender Cardano. And it's just another way to increase adoption. So let's say you wanted to buy a house and somebody's like, let's say you were selling a home and you could say, hey, I'll give you a discount on this home if you pay me in Bitcoin.
Wow.
And if you own it and you could literally, and that's where it's going to get interesting. And that's what some of these guys are working out. Some of the issues here is, connecting it to the title companies and how do you initiate those sort of transactions legally. I know it is a bottleneck, and I know the accounting is tricky. We actually have some really great accounting guys out here, some CPAs that specialize in crypto accounting, and then we have some lawyers out here in Wyoming that are really great at setting up crypto-based companies. There's actually a new organization called a DAO. It's a decentralized autonomous organization. It's essentially an LLC on the blockchain.
Oh wow.
Yeah, So there's all sorts of different innovations that are going to happen as a result. But anyway, so I think yes. What I've done is when I pay people, I was like, hey, can I pay you in Bitcoin? And it's honestly just to get them used to whipping out their phone and say, well, how do I take it? Download an app. The best way to do it, the safest way is probably with Coinbase or Voyager, or probably some of the top federally insured back exchanges where you can buy $10, $100 of whatever cryptocurrency you want and exchange it and send it to somebody else. And it just gets people used to that motion of what it takes to spend and use Bitcoin.
I was just
you can do it for anything though.
Yeah, Cardano is at $2.14 right now. So that's people like to, because a lot of times people can't get in their minds that, if it's 57,000, I can't get in, I'm too late, but it's not like that. But Cardano is only at $2.14. Yep. So, we can't promise anything.
Exactly. And I got in when it was below a penny.
Oh,
I got in when it was below a penny, and it's cool. But the cool thing is, and you're going to win some and lose some. And this is where some people are all in. You have your Bitcoin maximalists that are like, hey, it's Bitcoin or bust. And they've actually, what the cool thing is, the Bitcoin community's actually come up with solutions to the long transaction fees. They have this thing called the Lightning Network that has actually sped up the transaction fees, which works. It's a patch to the problem, but diversification is also good. What I tell people is, invest what you can lose. Just like when I invest in the stock market, I honestly don't know anything about the stock market. I don't do well in stocks. I've bought stocks up when everybody hypes them up, and I always end up losing money. But what I've learned over time is if you buy consistently with companies you believe in their fundamentals and you believe in the problem that they're solving, and you put in enough money over time, no matter what happens to the market. And this is also, you have to think of it as a long, 3, 5 to 10 year game. I mean, you think about these guys who, in 2009 got in at 20 cents and it went up to $1. Like, oh my gosh, I should sell. And imagine those guys if they sold when it got to like $10. Like, oh, I bought this at 20 cents. I should sell Bitcoin. Like, can you imagine the diamond hands? They call it diamond hands. You would have to have to hold Bitcoin from 20 cents to all of those rises and falls.
Yeah.
Over that 12-year period, where I know a lot of people, they got hyped up in the 2017 bull run, where it went from $700, like $200, all the way up to 20,000, and literally like the next day it crashed down to $3,000. Yeah. And so there's a lot of different factors, but I've always told people dollar cost averaging your investments into cryptocurrency is the safest way to do it. And also, I want to make a difference in trading, if I can. I know a lot of people, they see these, they call them shit coins, whether it's Doge or Shiba Inu, or there's a million other coins on there that people are coming up with every day, and they do what's called a pump and dump. They get a bunch of people and a bunch of hype behind it. They pump it, it goes up, and then all those big dogs cash out. They pull their money, and everybody who did get in, if they didn't get it out fast enough, they lose it. And so, yes, can you make money doing that? And are there people making money doing that? Yes, but that's considered a trade. That is a trade, a short-term, quick in and out investment. So a lot of guys, they're buying these small, tiny altcoins that, yes, they did rise, and there was a lot of hype, and they're seeing stuff on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, and they're like, oh, we got to get in. Usually when you find out about it, it's too late. Like, you needed to, when it's already being hyped up, it's already too late. And so, yes, it's a trade. You can make money on those trades, but you need to be smart, or you can lose a lot of money. I've lost over 100 grand, in one trade before, just because I got caught up in the hype cycle. So it's easy to do, but there's a difference between trading and investing. And investing is something you have to do to consider a long-term strategy. And so, you can keep a portion of your portfolio in trades. If you want to be risky, sure, set a section aside to trade and risk money. You can, the greater the risk, the higher the reward, sure. But also the greater the risk, the more you can lose. So put a section aside, do that for trading. If you're really dedicated and want to learn how to do that, do it fine. But to invest, be disciplined and set a section aside just to be consistent, where you're putting in a certain amount of money, dollar cost averaging every week or every month, a certain amount, no matter what happens to the market, because you believe in the technology. So, Ty, right now, Bitcoin's at $57,000. Let's say tomorrow morning it goes up to 100K, right? And everyone's like, oh my gosh, let's just get in. It's amazing. Sure, it could go up to 100, but guess what? It can go from 100K back down to $1,000.
Yeah.
And so, but would that matter? No. If you're somebody who's consistent, you believe in the technology, you're investing in this over the long haul, that's when you're going to win. So super important. Also, another principle that I want to bring up is the tax hits. So if you're somebody who's just trading, just riding these waves, these TikTok trends that you're hearing people talk about, you're going to get hit with taxes. You're going to get hit with short-term capital gains tax every time you make a trade. And so, sure, keep a section aside just for your risky short-term capital gains, high risk, high reward stuff. It's fine. And if you could be able to pay that off, but short-term capital gain or long-term capital gains only kicks in if you hold your coin for more than a year. And so that makes a significant impact on it. So when I tell people, like, focus on learning how to invest, and then when you get a firm, stable understanding of that, then get into the trading with some of these hype things. But ultimately understand the technology, understand the trends, only put in what you're willing to lose 100% of and what you can survive on losing 100% of. Because like I said, I have friends that have lost a lot of money in some of these hype cycles, and you don't want to be caught, with your pants down, or, you don't want to be caught with empty bags or holding your bags. And that's the same thing with the NFT community right now. There's a ton of people dumping a ton of money. They see these guys making millions of dollars off these JPEGs. Even Gary Vee hyping it up. It will bust. And even Gary Vee said it's going to bust. It's not going to last forever. He's definitely riding this wave. But be smart about it. Only put in what you can, where you can afford to lose. Learn about the technology. Consider an education if you did lose money, and just get better at it. But just know the technology isn't going anywhere.
Wow. I know, just real quick, I know we got to go, but I know you can trade. I think I haven't done it yet. I know with Cash App and with PayPal, I think even you can buy and trade. When I say trade, I mean you can purchase, and you can actually send it to other people with PayPal or whatever also. So they're in the game. As for digital,
Visa's getting in the game.
Yeah. So there it is. So, man, I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. This is some deep stuff. Again, guys, any term that we used is just a Google search away. Now, if you're watching this video today, and you might have watched, if you've gotten this far, and you're probably interested, but and you don't do anything, and then when you see this takes off like I did 8-9 years ago, it's already taken off. I'm just saying it's going to go to even higher levels. Then you're just going to kick yourself like I did. But hey, you can't be crowds filled, milk them in now. So anything you want to share, man, before we move out?
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing me on to have this conversation. And yeah, there's a lot of people on different sides of the fence when it comes to cryptocurrency. My parents, they're still afraid of it. When they hear about it, they hear about it on the news. And whenever they see it on the news, it's always the negative side of the coin versus, the positive side. They're like, oh, Bitcoin just crashed today. That's the only time they text me when we want to talk about that kind of stuff. But what I always tell people is, right now, take out your phone and download Coinbase. And if you have $100, put $100 into Bitcoin. And no, that $100 could go to $20, but no, that $100 could also go to $200. Like, get a feel for how it works, and then start doing some research on it. Start learning, what a wallet is, because there's a digital wallet, there's a hot wallet that's connected to the internet, there's a cold wallet that's not connected to the internet, and understand what the different wallets are and that kind of stuff. And like Ty said, Google is your best friend here with this kind of stuff. You can find access to what the technology is and understand what it means better now more than ever before. So, it's not a matter of if it's going to stick around. It's a matter that it definitely is sticking around. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to continue to evolve. There's going to be legislation that's going to, there's going to be legislation that's going to be built around it, and it's not going anywhere, especially with the big dogs. Like you said, PayPal, I think Venmo does too, Cash App, and a few of these big guys. You can do it on Robinhood. I don't recommend those, to be honest, because you don't actually hold the coin in your account. You want to be having access to it in your account. So using Coinbase or Voyager or some of those other exchanges are a great start. But learn, get out there, get a feel for it, and get out there to the wild, wild west of crypto. It's not too late. Don't listen to what other people say. Don't get caught up in what other people are doing. Just get into the fundamentals of why this is really a revolution. Technology that's going to impact every aspect of our society.
Boom. Well, I really appreciate it, man. Sharing your time and knowledge with us. And guys, hey, again, research this on your own. It's what I'm doing. It's what I'm placing money on it. And I hate when it went back down to, I think it's at 57, something like we said, and it went down to the low 30s a couple of months back. I hate I didn't buy more. I did buy some, but I hate I didn't buy more when it went down or whatever. I should have dumped even more because I knew it was going back to 57. The high is in around 62, 63, all-time high around 62, 63, something like that, I think. And so I just hate I didn't buy more when it went down to the low 30s or whatever. So again, appreciate Jeff sharing his knowledge. And as always, like to say, guys, we will see you on the flip side.
Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. You text me then I'll text you back. Text me then I'll text you back. TikTok, you don't stop. I will help you make your paper stack. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at now? 205-964-5243. Now you know. 205-964-5243. Now you know.